Different drivers have different styles of driving. As many of us see on the roads every day, people have their own opinion of how to drive and how quickly to drive. In a railway environment, it's a very strictly controlled timetable where a train has to be past a certain junction or stop at a station on time. The signalling system has an intervention. So there are slots where drivers must perform as a minimum to maintain the timetable. And at the same time, if something breaks in front of them, they have to have the opportunity to stop safely and be advised of that. So to avoid the motorway pile-up of not being able to detect an incident farther in front of you, the systems we have now detect backwards and stop trains and drivers that historically wouldn't have known what was 6 or 7 miles ahead of them, to have the opportunity to be warned early, slow down and stop.
Right, where did this all start? The business started with 2 engineers, my father Tony Hankins and Roger Rowe. I mean, the business started out in the spare bedroom of our old house, so it's been with me as long as I can remember, really. And that was over 30 odd years ago. I think 1984 was when they first met. One of the first memories I've got of this business is actually crawling across a train one Saturday morning as a young lad. My dad actually was taking the breakers on site as a sort of special delivery thing, and I went with him. I didn't have a train set as a kid, no.
The first product we had was the hydraulic magnetic circuit breaker, which, without going too technical, is temperature independent. So we actually took it to traction. It wasn't being sold to anybody in the traction industry until we did it. We sold it to the military, we sold it to telecoms. We actually grew the business into areas that it didn't go. We even modified it to meet the requirements of British standard switching of the British Rail. But right from the start, we started to modify it to meet the needs of the customer. And from there, we started with just a circuit breaker. We then went into residual current and earth leakage, which we manufactured completely. And it grew from there. We never had a contract. We shook hands. And for the next 25 years, we never, ever, ever made a loss.
So I went from production to stores to sales, a little bit for a while in R&D, back into sales, moved up to sales director, and then approximately 4 years ago took over as managing director as my father retired and became chairman. It's a hell of a job and a hell of a question to answer, really. You know, there's times you'll be strategic, there'll times you'll be commercial, there'll times you'll be in production or engineering. So you've got to be extremely flexible for a start, clued up on what's going on throughout the business, start to finish. And more than anything as well, you've got to be approachable. My father obviously has been in this industry for 30 plus years. He's got a great deal of experience.
We are a niche supplier in a niche market called traction. We are well known in traction, and being British in traction is a good deal. You know, we started the traction world. The first steam engine was made here. George Stephenson, I mean, we date back 1800s as an industry that Britain led the world. I'm very proud to be British, and I think it shows in our products. We listen to our customers, we listen to the market, and we bring out what the people want. This is how we've stayed in business for 30 years plus. Innovation has always been part of what this company's philosophy has been about. The new generation take it to places I couldn't take it. I'm an analog man, they're in a digital world.
You know, his fingerprints will always be on the company. You know, no matter who's running it and what teams we've got involved, he will still, you know, want to be involved and have an interest and see that it's doing well. Rowe Hankins today has 73 employees. Majority of those are based around the local area of Bury, or certainly Greater Manchester.
The ethos that I started as a family company is still here. It's tangible, you can hear it and taste it. It's here.
I think there's a really good mentality to the people that work here. They're driven and they're, you know, cautious and conscious of what they're doing.
The job's exciting. You get to meet a lot of different people, get involved in all sorts of different projects. old stuff that needs redesigning up to brand new stuff that needs research. So a very broad range of challenges. Yeah. You have to get your hands dirty now and then. Things don't always go right first time. The nature of a bespoke product means it has to be delivered and tested, and 99% successful, but there's the 1% that does get messy. Yeah. The investment for the products we produce is for the safety of the passengers and for the profitability of the people investing in the railway.
The interesting thing from the passenger's point of view and people that use the railways is they know they're safe generally. They know it's the safest form of transport, but they don't know how much work it takes to make it safe, so that they don't understand the number of people behind the scenes that are checking that trains are kept a safe distance apart.
To operate more trains on the same track, closer together, and ensure they don't reach too high a speed, and at the same time are quick enough to maintain optimum gaps in the timetable, is what passengers and operators need.
One little bit of bad news can take years to get out of the system. Good news is forgotten in a few days, but a bad accident, people are still talking about the Hatfield accident that was last century.
Everybody wants to know they're getting on a train on time that will be safe and will arrive on time, and the next one and the one following that. So it helps keep the entire railway safe and moderated at all times.
The culture, it's an incredibly strong culture. The culture of safety on the railways is just unbelievably overriding. We are looked upon as being a very safe railway. We're the safest railway in Europe, perhaps with the exception of Ireland, but it's a very small railway in Ireland. But in terms of major railways, the UK's railway is the safest in Europe. We've seen incidents in France and in other countries where there have been some shortcuts in maintaining the tracks, and trains have derailed at high speeds because they've been under pressure to save money and they've cut corners on maintenance. It's not something that will be allowed over here.
So during the 80s, a lot of trains had very minimal safety systems on board. That's developed now with more technology on board. The systems that control energy, braking, propulsion are much more intelligent, have many more sensors across the train, and can intervene from a poor driver's decision, combination of external elements, and decide that the best and most safest operation of the train would be a slow acceleration or no acceleration at all. So to go from relying on one man and his driving technique 20 years ago to multiple systems of extreme safety with backups, the trains are now a lot more safe. And with the investment in new technology, new equipment, the train can virtually drive itself no matter what happens to the driver. We have 3 main areas of manufacturing and 1 of workshop. We produce speed probes and speed control systems, wheel flange lubrication and top of rail lubrication systems, and circuit protection and earth current imbalance detection. The 4th element of the business is workshop, repair and overhaul. Speed control products stop trains crashing into each other, going too fast. Wheel flange lubrication protects the wheel and the rail, stops the wheel wearing down, stops the rail being damaged, and eliminates a lot of the high frequency squealing noise you hear when trains go around corners. Circuit protection is to protect cables and equipment from overload, and workshop helps customers retrieve the value from existing equipment without having to reinvest in new expensive equipment for their trains.
As a member of the Railway Industry Association and IRIS and all that, you know what goes into these trains, you know what's on them, you know the sort of levels that when you're working with the engineers and things of what quality they demand. You just know how safe they are.
That use this type of technology to control the speed of the trains. How many train crashes do you see? Very rare these days.
We use them quite a bit, whether we're just going into town to do some shopping or we're going down into London or wherever we are. Yeah, we'll gladly use a train, and yeah, they're extremely safe. And they've been getting better over the years, and I believe will continue to get better in the future.